Hello, I'm Susanna Beaumont and the Curator of Design Exhibition Scotland, which I set up in 2018 to kind of amplify and share the stories of designers and makers from across Scotland, particularly looking at material innovation. This exhibition, Design for Our Times, is very much about that, looking at 7 projects from across Scotland that explore and interrogate material and how we can think again about sustainability and issues of reuse. The first project is Chalk Plaster, Stephen and Fionn Blench, who are based just across the water in Fife. They're plasterers but have long been interested in materials, and here their 2 stalls very much show their investigation into the use of gypsum. Gypsum is a key component of plasterboard, which is used repeatedly in new construction, but often goes to landfill. So these 2 stalls take gypsum and think about how you can repurpose gypsum to make furniture. So very much this kind of sense of exploration. And this is what the exhibition is very much trying to show, is how we have to support what often happens behind closed doors, but that sense of experimentation and trial and error. The next project is Amrit Renew, who was born in France but relocated to Dundee a few years ago to study at Duncan of Jordanston. When he arrived, he was very curious about what happens to the spent grain which is left over from brewing and distilling. His furniture, here he shows a table, chair and screen, are made of what he calls draff. Draff is this waste spent grain that results from brewing or distilling. So he takes this grain, dries it, and then with kind of both a little bit of heat and pressure, he makes this beautiful piece of furniture. Instead of looking at a grain, as in wood, you look at this kind of constellation of, it might be barley, it might be cinnamon, it might be peppercorns, anything that's used in the making of botanical gin. The third project is Future Practical, Maria Lander and Peter Large, who are based in Glasgow. They're very interested in thinking about how a material, not only how you source the material, but how that material will travel through life. What they've made for Design for Our Times is a series of plinths on which all these objects sit. And as a design exhibition, we all felt it was important that the plinths were considered as the objects themselves. So they've worked with aluminium, a material that can be recycled and reused repeatedly, to make a series of plinths which have these kind of beautiful perforations. The hope is that V&A Dundee will reuse these plinths. The next project is Kenotech, Professor Gabi Mendora and Dr. Sam Chapman. Gabi moved to Glasgow from Brazil. Sam Chapman is actually one of her former students. What Gabi's long been exploring is how to make a construction brick that's made out of construction waste. The standard issue construction brick is made of virgin materials and needs to be kiln fire. Here she is showing, and we show a wonderful pyramid of bricks, is their new K-brick, which is made of waste. And what is so vital and so extraordinary is that it doesn't need to be kiln fired, so very much reducing kind of carbon emissions. And this project, after 10 years, and again, this is kind of illuminating the kind of trial and error, the work it takes, now is going to go into big production from next year. And their facility is based in East Lothian, which is actually next to where this recycling depot where they get all the kind of gypsum and rubble to which to make this brick. The next project is Andrew Miller. Andrew is based in Glasgow as an artist, and he spent a number of years kind of visiting Trinidad, where very much there's a kind of sense of process of reconsidering materials and before you dismiss them and throw them away. He's made a series of lights which are suspended from the ceiling, and these are made out of glass that he's found at kind of charity shops. So there's forlorn vases, maybe an ashtray, and repurposement to make these beautiful pendant lights that almost look like kind of coloured sweets. He's also showed a kind of sculptural seat, which again is very much about how to welcome visitors into the space. The next project is Mural of Glasgow, which was set up in 2018 by Lewis Harley and Simon Harlow. They're graduates of Glasgow School of Art, but it was Simon who has long had an interest in Japanese lacquerware that has inspired the setting up of Mural. And what we're showing here is Dixon, a drinking fountain. And this is a well-designed drinking fountain that can be out in the kind of urban realm, which will encourage people to refill their bottles. And the design of this is ingenious. When Simon was thinking about what design he should use, he looked at a kitchen tap, and a kitchen tap obviously is a kind of universal symbol of water. And so this is what Dixon Drinking Fountain is based on. The final project is Catriona Brown, who only last year graduated from Glasgow School of Art in product design engineering. She grew up in Helensburgh on the west coast and very much remembers from her childhood looking at tree shelters. So what she's made here is an answer back to the vast plastic tree shelters, and her tree shelters, which she's called shroom, are made of mycelium. Mycelium is a naturally occurring kind of fungus in our landscape. It's very much in every little clump of soil. That's where it kind of grows, kind of filaments. And so she has through kind of much experimentation, has developed these kind of tree shelters which will decompose over time. But it's very much in its early years. But again, this is what this exhibition is about, showing how ideas take time to develop, but how vital it is that we support this sense of endeavour and creativity. I hope you enjoy the exhibition.